Yep, it's picking up sound there. Hello. Hello. So, yeah, spinning it up from the webcam, so that's what we'll do for now. I don't know what's going on with that one, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. All right. Let's say just so you can hit the sides to suddenly pick up. Yeah. Leave it on. All right, Lakeisha, we ready? Yeah. My son is getting because we're technical issues.
I know, and you can never notice how bad you are with technical stuff until your kids leave. Because that's when I noticed.
He hurt his shoulder today. He's like, "Do you really need me to drive out there?" I was like, "We're having major issues. We need you here." And he said, "Well, FaceTime me." So we FaceTime and he kind of talked us through some stuff.
It ain't the same as him being there though.
No. It's all right. You let me know when you're ready. Transition back over.
All right, off the cuff. Ready? Let's go.
All right, you guys, you're back live with Regina Sunshine on the Regina Sunshine Show on, yes, the Regina Sunshine Global Network. And I'm so excited to introduce you guys to today's first guest. Welcome to the show, Miss Lakeisha Dixon.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, great.
Now, I'm trying to remember where we met because that's normally the first thing I talk about whenever I introduce a guest.
Mm-hmm.
Where we meet?
We met, so we know someone because you started one of the first internet radio shows I've ever done. Was the Dr. Marquita Blades show.
Yes.
Candid Talks with her.
Yes.
But we met at the African American Authors Book Festival.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And when I met you, I said, I think we know the same person. And that's when I talked about me meeting
yes.
Dr.
How do you know Dr. Marquita Blades?
I was on her show. So I'm a former educator. So, you know, we kind of all know each other or know someone knows the other person. But I was on her show with my coach is Tawana Randall, and she runs My Time magazine and a few other things. She does denim and desserts every year here in Atlanta. And so she was invited on the show, and then I got invited to talk about education. So it was a really weird setup. Yeah.
Yes, Doctor, and you probably would have noticed she'd been out here earlier today for a class that I teach, but you would have just missed her. Well, do this for our audience. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Lakeisha P. Dixon, and if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, you might know me as Keisha Writes. But mostly, I'm a children's author and motivational speaker. So a lot of things that I do are centered around children, working with people with differences or disabilities in the education world. But also, I love to do lots of women empowerment. So if you see me, that's kind of usually what I'm doing.
So how did you get into education? Because you started off, you know, we realized we are connected through Dr. Blades, and everybody that knows her knows that her focus on her show is education.
Yeah.
So how did you choose that particular career field?
So to be very honest with you, I started out in school and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I was good at, I was a great writer. So I was great at English, and I was an English major. In my mind, it was never my thought to go and be an educator. Then during college, started a family, and I was like, well, how can I be a great mother and then have time for my child and still, provide education? Teachers are off in the summer.
Yes.
They get off around 2, 3 o'clock. So it's really not anything major. So that's kind of how I started. I realized that I enjoyed teaching people things or talking to people about things. But what ended up happening, I ended up growing because I had a passion for teaching and showing people things. But the institution of education, I didn't really. So I moved up relatively fast. I was an assistant principal. I left education as a principal. And then I started doing my own thing. I got all the way there and I realized this is not for me.
I understand. And, because, I'm what you call a non-traditional educator.
Mm-hmm.
I started off teaching at a technical college in Greenwood, South Carolina, even though my background is chemical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started working for a company here in Atlanta, PCG Education, which is the vendor with Atlanta Public School System.
Yes, it is.
Honey, that whole being in the public school system is a whole other beast.
Whole other beast. It's a whole other beast.
And I don't think people really can appreciate that if they haven't spent any time inside. And you get there, and I understand why educators are burnt out. I understand why, people are frustrated because the system is not set up for anybody inside of it to succeed.
And when I realized that, I mean, I got all the way to, you know, as a principal, and I realized, like, this is a setup. You know, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't, and I felt bad even preaching or promoting what I knew in my heart wasn't right. And so because of that, it was just time to go, because I didn't feel right about my job. I almost felt like a used car salesman giving you
like a pimp.
Like a pimp. Like a pimp. Yes, I felt like I was giving you something that I know wasn't right. And I'm telling you that it's right. And I'm selling you this lemon. I know when you get out of my car lot, it's going to break down. I didn't feel right about it. So, and I had to go. Like, it didn't sit right.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I'm hearing that more and more from educators, especially people who get into education because they want to make a difference.
Absolutely.
They're looking to be in a career where they can help be change agents.
Absolutely.
And then you get there and you recognize that's not what it is. That's a hard thing.
It's hard. It's really hard.
So how did you make that transition? Because some people realize that they're in the wrong space, but then that actual move to something different is where a lot of people get stuck.
You know, it's funny that you asked that. I realized, like, early on, like, you know how you get in a place where even though everything looks right, the money's good, it doesn't feel right. Like, like I'm wearing somebody else's clothes or wearing somebody else's, like, wait a minute, it just felt like that thing. And when it came time, especially when I moved up, now I was in education about 14 years. That's a long time to invest in something and then to say, hey, I'm done. But when it got to the point, me as a principal, and I have children that had needs and needed me, and it was almost looked down upon because I chose to be, and sometimes, well, I need to go see about my babies, my own children, as opposed to being at the schoolhouse with other people's children, which is, I'm here to make a difference, but when my children had to be put on the back burner, I'm like, well, these are the people that I'm responsible for putting out to this world, and I can't leave them and pour into your baby, because who's pouring into mine? You know what I mean? I want to be there to make sure that was there. So what happened to make me transition fully out of education? My son Caden got sick when he was around 8, and he had to have his leg amputated. And when he had to have his leg amputated, I mean, to be honest with you, first of all, I got a chance to see how much and how valuable I was to my building, because I needed to take time off to be with my child who had to learn how to walk again and to do things again. And I was still getting calls for people needing help, but I'm dealing with something, and it just couldn't be off. I just really realized at that time that where I was needed the most and what was most important. And so when Caden got sick and, he had to have his leg amputated, that brought about a lot of change in my life, my whole journey, my family's journey, my other children, my husband's journey. It just changed us. This happening to my son changed everybody, everybody connected to us. And out of the blue, in an effort to help Caden accept his new normal, I started writing, being an English major, I'm a writer, so I started writing, and I wrote the book, Caden the Great and the Sinister Lunch Lady. And the whole idea around the book was not to write this book about this little boy who's an amputee. The whole idea was to write this book for my son to help him to heal and accept his death. I
met Caden, didn't I? I remember. He came by my table. Okay.
You met Caden. And he's a phenomenal kid. He's just a phenomenal child, because there were so many things that he could not do before his amputation. I mean, he has something called NF, and NF is neurofibromatosis type 1, and it's a disease where anywhere you have a nerve on your body, you can grow a tumor. So, we got nerves all over our body. And so his right leg became a tumor. It was 55% of his leg.
Wow.
And he couldn't really wear shoes. Standing in the shower, really couldn't put water on his leg. It couldn't hit. So you have to put his leg to the back, so the water wouldn't directly hit. It was painful for him to wear socks. Just different things. He couldn't really go outside. He couldn't walk. He couldn't really do anything. And the moment we decided to first give him the idea to say, I don't want this leg anymore, because I remember seeing him sitting on the ground looking at his leg with his fist balled up, like he wanted to fight his leg for being apart. He was just, Mommy, I just hate this leg. I hate it. And I said, well, we have a choice. We can do some things about it. And we have been to doctors, and we have been to specialists. We even had an opportunity to do a clinical trial versus lose his leg. And my husband and I let him make the decision, and he wanted to have an amputation. And we talked about it. We did so very much to prepare for this moment. And out of this moment, this one thing that was everybody else would look at as tragedy has, honest to God, turned into triumph. The one thing that with him losing his leg, you would think, okay, we have a kid and he's not a whole boy. When I tell you I have a whole kid.
You got a whole boy. I met him. I'm trying to tell you.
When I tell you I have a whole boy who can run now. So the first things he said when he got his prosthesis, well, you know what, mommy? And things that we don't know that we take for granted, I can wear high tops now. Because his leg was so big and from not being able, from the tumor, he couldn't wear a high top shoe. And that was like the biggest deal to him to be able to wear high tops. Now that's all he wears because he can, and before he couldn't. So there's just so many other things that he's changed. He goes outside, he's active. I can't tell you how many prostheses he's gone through. They're expensive and he's broken. And broken because he's outside running though. Because he would never go outside. So now he's outside running and breaking things, and I'm okay with that.
Oh, yes.
So just seeing how his life had changed, I wrote the book, Kate and the Great and the Sinister Lunch Lady, because I wanted to show him that even though you have this part that's quote unquote missing, look at how much has been added into your life. Look at all the things that you could not do before that now you can do. And look at how many people you can inspire from saying, look at who I used to be. You know what I mean? And for an 8-year-old at the time, now he's 10, when I tell you that's my hero, every day, a kid that can just go around with so much confidence.
Oh, yes. He came to my table and introduced himself. I mean, something I know when you said, I was like, I know Kaden, like I know.
Absolutely.
But, and that was one of the things I noticed. There was some other kids that was running around with him, but it wasn't like a situation like, okay, there's some kids and then there's the kid.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's just a group of kids.
There's just a group of kids. Right. And so the book, Kate and the Great and Sinister Lunch Lady, is really just about a kid in a school, and basically, do you remember Inspector Gadget?
Yes.
Okay, so it will remind you, the book will remind you about this, because this little boy, he's a detective and he solves crimes within his school, but the great thing about it is that he is heavily reliant on his prosthesis. So in order to solve the crime, he has to look at his prosthesis. It might take him back in time, it might make him invisible, but in order to solve the crime, he switches out his legs. Like Inspector Gadget,
I got
switch out his
chills
tools.
when you said that is so awesome.
So he switches out his legs. So the thing that would have made the thing that would have made people think that you're different or odd is the thing that everybody is dependent upon to make it through the day. And so it's a message deeper than the fact of, oh, he's an amputee, and hey, I didn't want to write a book about amputees. I wanted to write a book about our strengths and the way that we can take our thing that makes people look at us different and be the thing that makes us prevail or triumph over all. And so to say all that, you said something of second chances, because God gave my son a second chance, you know what I mean, to be able to do it, to be able to be and grow. And when I say there's nothing like a second chance, there's nothing like a second chance. Yes. So that's what that's about.
I'm so inspired right now. I see this cartoon. Y'all gonna make this into a cartoon?
That's what we're working on.
All right, because I can see
that's
this cartoon. Oh, that would be so cool. Because, it opens up a lot of different conversations. The conversations about children not treating other children differently. Because there's a topic about bullying there. There's a topic about loving yourself no matter what. There's so many avenues.
Overcoming. Just being an overcomer. So there's so many great things. I mean, the book came from my heart. We have another one coming out very soon, so it is a series. The illustrations were done by this amazing illustrator named Chastity Hampton. She runs Whimsical Designs by CJ. She's a phenomenal artist, and it's taken this one thing and catapulted. And so now when I'm in speaking engagements and different things like that, people always want to hear, well, how did you get to this point? But I really just had to be in this position where I said to myself, okay, God, this is what you've given me, and if not me, then who? This is for me. And I never questioned why. Mm-hmm. Never, me nor my husband ever questioned why. And I honestly believe that it's what you do in the midst of your test that determines how you come out on the other side. So I think if I would have stopped to question, oh God, why us? Why our baby, Lord? If I would have done all of those things, I really think that it would have turned out differently for us. But we have such a positive outlook on everything. I mean, the sky is the limit.
I love that. And the fact that you're... I'm sitting here, and Christine, I'm thinking about you as she's speaking. Christine's son actually ended up in a wheelchair from the flu, and that was one of the things, just that whole battle with something happening to your child. Yeah. You're in a position now that you can really be an encouragement to other parents that are going through, Because if you've never been, because I can say I sympathize all I want to, but if you've never been there, I can't say I understand how
Absolutely.
you feel. So it takes someone who's been in a similar place to be able to really encourage someone who's in a space like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what God has done is he's opened up a whole other area of ministry to
Absolutely.
you, for you to be able to go in and help other parents, other moms to walk this journey and know that, you know what, I'm here with you. We made it, you can make it too. So have you had those opportunities?
Absolutely. I mean, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't think that this would come out of this,
Mm-hmm.
but like I've been on panels. I can't tell you how many churches that have invited me to speak for empowerment. And I didn't realize that I was empowering people by telling my story. And I didn't realize how much going through and having a child that has a disease or a sickness, how much your story can, your things that you do daily can pour into other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single day of my life and our lives is a testimony. I mean, it's something every single day. And now hearing about, I'm sure you know, every single day there's something different. And if you open your mind to say, okay, well, this is what you've given to me. You've given this to me because I'm the person to be able to handle this child this way, or I'm the person to be able to handle this situation. If you look at it with those eyes and from that aspect, you'll always find the right words to put into someone else's life to encourage them. There's a reason for it being you. You just got to be open to saying, okay, you've chosen me. Thank you for the choice. Let's go. There's a reason. Let's get to work.
So before all this, did you ever consider you being an author?
You know what? I always consider myself a creative, so I like to write, but I've never written for other people to see and critique my work. Like I had to write papers for school. I know, when you're good at it, you can do it and it resonates. You always get the A. But I've never written for other people to critique my work. And since this has happened, I am now the contributing author to, writer. I have a column in My Time magazine. So, it's just so crazy. Just so many things have happened. So, no, I didn't think that I was a writer. I did not think that I was an author. And now I have a column in a magazine. And now I have a book, and I have another one coming out. So, it's amazing what things that happen in your life, what can be birthed out of these things.
When you take one step.
When you take one
all
step.
it takes is you taking one step and you opening up that door, and then everything begins. It's a ripple effect from there. So the blessing is you took the first step, and because you did, that opens up the doors for the other blessings.
It does. Yes, and I can be more thankful and grateful. First of all, just for the opportunity, number one, but being able to articulate how we're feeling and being able to express it to other people so that they understand, because it's nothing to be in a situation, like you were saying, you can tell somebody, I can sympathize with you, I empathize, but it's nothing to be able to say, you know what, this happened to me, and let me tell you what got me through. I don't know, I just felt like this, even though, like I said, even though this has been a trying time for our family and for our son, and as he transitions and learns how to be an amputee, it's just changed our lives in such a great way, an amazing way.
That's wonderful. I'm glad that you guys chose to be so transparent, because your transparency is what brings healing to other people.
Right.
Because when they see that, because if you just say, we're just going to keep it to ourselves, we're just going to deal with this on our own, then you close off the opportunity to have your blessings flow into other people's lives.
I agree with that. And you know what else why I think I wanted to be so transparent with it? I think within the community, the Black community, I think we have a lot of shame around differences and disabilities. Personally, I just feel like culturally we've been maybe like you don't want anybody to see that we are different, because we've always been shunned for being different. And I think, this is just my personal opinion, I think that we do less of a job of being advocating for our children with disabilities, not because we don't want to, but because we just haven't had that platform. And it maybe just takes one person to be like, hey, I'm the poster child for this, to be able to for more people. For example, Caitlin has something called NF, and over 3,000 people are, 1 out of 3,000 births are born with NF. There are Black people with NF, but when I go to the NF conference every year, we're the only Black family represented.
Are you serious?
Hands down. Wow. We're the only Black family represented, and I know people who have it, but they're not advocates for it, they're not saying anything about it, and they're not, when I go to conferences, I fly all over to be an advocate for my son and for other kids that have NF that have lost their limbs or lost their sight, because you can go blind with it. I mean, there's so many different things that you can that can happen as a result of this disease, but we're never represented as a person or as a group of people or as a subgroup. And because of that, I felt it was important for me to first be a person to speak out against it. Because if my son has other people's kids, or other people are going to be affected by it, I mean, there's no cure for it, and so it's around. And so it was important for me to get out in front of it, because there's going to be somebody else that's born with this, and they need to have somebody to say, I know somebody like that.
Yes.
And he looks like me.
Yes.
And it's okay, because he's an overcomer too.
Yes. Now, in terms of, I guess, just people, we mentioned before, right, sometimes in our community, people aren't always as open because they don't want to talk about differences and everything. Right. Have you had anyone, I guess, in your family or personal life who maybe had a differing opinion, like, oh no, you shouldn't be out here?
Absolutely.
Talking about this.
Absolutely. Before his surgery, I had people that didn't even speak to us on a regular basis. But because he was directly connected to them, they maybe felt like they didn't want to be like, you sure you want to do this? Because he's going to be missing a leg. Like, afraid what it's going to look like. I don't care what it looks like to you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I don't care, because my child is in pain every day, and I don't care how you feel about what it looks like. I had people calling me as if I hadn't, as a parent, done my research, tried everything possible to not have my child's leg amputated. You understand?
Yes, yes.
Well, have you tried this? Giving me options, giving me different things. People I hadn't even spoken to because they were afraid of how it looked. Then I also had somebody that is directly related or connected to somebody that's close to me, and this is this other person's significant other. Why would she put him out there like that and let people know he doesn't have a leg? And actually, why would she write a book? Why would she do that? It was almost like embarrassing. Like, why would she do? And it was great because the person, you shut the person down. But like, why would you question why I chose, to do it this way? Yeah. And it was I never wrote anything to sell anything. I wrote this for my son, and it ended up being something. Yeah. But these people were really offended that I chose to highlight this because he's different. And why would you do that? How embarrassing is that? To who? Who's embarrassed by this?
I asked it because I always find it funny that people are bold enough to say stuff that they say to other people about your own child.
About my own child.
About your own child. But you run into that all the time. Even, when my son was growing up, there were a lot of decisions that his father and I made for him that people didn't understand. I used to always say, all right, that thank you. We still gonna do what we're gonna do.
Exactly. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
And then of course now he's 23-year-old and he's really, smart and confident. They're like, oh, he turned out so good. I said, I know, but I didn't listen to you.
Absolutely.
So if I had listened to you, I don't know what I would have turned out.
Right.
Here. So you have to be, and this is for the parents that are listening, you have to do what's best for your child and what you know is best for your child, even if nobody in your life agrees.
That's the truth, and that is why I had to walk away from education, because there is no one-size-fits-all education for any kid. You're not going to give my child, who is an individual, the same thing that everybody else has. And when parents came in to tell me things like that, I was like, 100%, I agree with you. So yeah, I couldn't be like, well, this is the way. No, you're right.
No, you're right.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So yeah, but that goes to say, yes, everybody wants to tell you how to best handle a situation. You don't know until you're in it. You don't know. I didn't know how I was going to handle it. I honestly took it literally one day at a time. Every single day was a new challenge. Every day was a new challenge, and it was a struggle, but we got through. I had a great support system for the ones who were supportive. Had a terrific support system. We still don't have those people. I want you to know those people who tried to give me all the alternatives. I haven't heard from them again. We haven't heard from them again, but meanwhile, Kaden is thriving. We're doing well. Things have changed for us, and we couldn't be happy with where we are now.
I love it. So what is next? We talked about there's going to be a cartoon. Is there going to be a Kaden doll? I would love to see a Kaden doll.
We are working on a Kaden doll.
I would love.
We are working on a Kaden doll. We are working on some school supplies and stuff like notebooks and different things for Kaden.
Yeah, I can see it because I'm already seeing the accessories, the interchangeable parts. It's so cool. I love it.
Exactly. So we are working on a plush doll, and we are also working on our next book is coming out. It's supposed to be this fall. fall. It was supposed to be released this summer. We got kind of behind with all kinds of things going on. So we're going to be releasing again in the fall. And I'll be doing a couple of author panels, and you'll see me on in My Time magazine writing. Kaden is on the cover of this edition of My Time magazine that's coming out in September. And check me out on IG and check out my column, Just Jump. It's all about just jumping and taking chances.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads right into what my next question was going to be. If there's somebody who's watching and, they're in a space, maybe like where you were with education, or they're in a situation like what, happened with Kaden, and they're just trying to figure out, how do I stay in a positive frame of mind to move forward every day? Is there something practical you can tell them that you do in your own life that helps keep you moving forward?
I always remember that one day, today will be a long time ago. So no matter what you're going through today, one day, this day will be a long time ago. It'll be just a distant memory. So if you can take it by day, one day, this day will be a long time ago. You might think that this was the worst day of your life, but guess what? A couple of months, that's going to happen. It's going to be a long time ago. Think about the job that you lost. That was a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
Think about the person that broke up with you. That was a long time ago. One day, today will be a long time ago. And if you can get past today and keep moving day after day after day, next thing you know, today is going to be in your rearview mirror, and you'll be moving on. So.
That's a T-shirt. Or that's an
It's
adult book. I'm for real. One
side.
day today will be a long time
That's
ago.
it.
I like that, because even one of the things I tell people, I talk about things that are going on in your life, and I ask the question: is it going to matter in 5 years? If it's not going to matter in 5 years, then why are you stressing about it?
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. So one day today is going to be a long time ago. I love that.
So when you get mad about today, okay, one day today, listen, let me tell you something. I always say this, but I was so upset about something the other day. My husband loves Keisha. One day today, I was shut up, boy. I didn't want, just be quiet. I didn't want to hear from him, but he was right though, and I was like, you know what, you're right. But I didn't want to hear that right then. So.
It's never fun when somebody else gives back to you
Get out
what you
my
want to
face.
give to you.
Get out of my face.
So when you think about that one day,
Mm-hmm.
And you look back over the course of your life, what do you want your legacy to have been?
I think I always want to be known. I want to leave behind a legacy of someone who's always knows how to turn something into a rainbow. I just want to be able to turn bad situations into a rainbow. Whatever the situation is, I want it to be a rainbow. No matter, and your rainbow could be different from my rainbow, but I could turn a situation into a rainbow, and I want to be known for being able to turn it into a rainbow.
That's awesome. Do you want to introduce your guest with you? Would you like to?
So I have a little person with me who comes with me as my shadow. I have 3 kids, and it's so funny because before I knew anything about them, I just came up with the name. So I have a daughter who's going to be 17, and I call her Anaya the Amazing. And then Kaden is Kaden the Great. And before we even knew Kaden's situation, he was Kaden the Great. And then I have a little one who's just turned 8, and he's Logan the Magnificent. So,
I love that.
And those are my marvels. So I call them my marvels, Kaden the Great, Anaya the Amazing, and Logan the Magnificent. But I have Kaden the Great with me, who is my shadow. So you want to come over here and say hey to the people? He was trying to record, but I didn't have enough juice. Can you see everybody say hello? This is Kaden the Great.
Well, I just want to ask you one question. How does it feel for your mom to have written a book about you?
It feels great to know that she really cares.
That's great.
Don't
That's
make me
sweet.
cry.
No,
Don't make me
right?
cry.
I'm like, trying to hold it back.
I will cry for you. That's sweet. That's sweet. I always say that the love, admiration, and respect from your children
Means everything.
means everything.
And at the end of the day, I mean, I had a lot of little faces looking back at me as an educator, but these faces, the ones that I've created, looking back at me and knowing that I've done a good job, or that they're turning into great people, or that he's confident and self-assured. It's the biggest payoff any day of the week.
I love it. Well, anything else? Any parting words? Tell them where they can get the book.
Oh. So you can get Kaden the Great and the Sinister Lunch Lady on KadenTheGreat.com. That's KAIDEN, The Great, THEGREAT.com. Or you can go on Amazon.com and search Kaden the Great and Sinister Lunch Lady. You can also reach me on LakeishaPDixon.com. Follow me on IG at Keisha Wrights and Facebook at Lakeisha Pruitt Dixon.
Awesome. Kate, anything you want to say before we go? Well, thank you for coming on with us for a few minutes. Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And we come back, we'll have our next guest. And what we're going to do is, if you guys hang around, we're going to have you come back and close out the show with us.
Awesome.
Sound good? Awesome. We'll be right back here on the Regina Sunshine Show on the Regina Sunshine Global Network. That was so good. I'm trying to tell you, that was so perfect. Kate. We could not have planned that. That was awesome. Now next time, you're supposed to have the book with you so we can show you.
You know, and I told you
everything.
I was trying to say, Kate, I don't think we got any books. She said, I don't think so either, Mommy. I said, that's all.
Awesome. So you can have you guys sit right back over there.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Shay, you ready? I'm so inspired.
Thank you.
I'm just. So is he going to join you on camera yourself?
Yes, he is. Let me know when you want me to show the t-shirt. You want me to stand up and do that?
Well, then let's put you on the end and him right here.
Okay. Come on, Danny.
Him, because we was in the back talking about how he wasn't going to be on camera today. You got the touch, Shay, you got the touch. I was like, really? You here? You have a big. He was like, You're ready whenever you are. Shut it down. Stop the stream.
Keep that little thing right there by your feet so it's